Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome back to yet another video. So for this video, we're going to do a quick refresher for some of the top 5 AFK stage pushing teams for phase 2 so far based off our experiences on the VN server. So in this video, we're going to talk about the top 5 teams, ranking them from the 5th to the top 1 in terms of efficiency, ease of pushing, as well as power level of the team. So starting off, let's run through this replay right here. The very first team is a Faramor based team. So this team, as the name suggests, builds off Faramor as the main damage dealer. So for this team itself, Faramor is able to do a lot of true damage. He's able to prevent healing, he's able to do AoE damage as well, making him a really good unit against stages where the enemies might be immune to magical, might be immune to physical, or has really annoying healing effect that you want to cancel with Faramor right here. So this team can be paired with obviously your iron armors to do the additional combo and also give you that grouping towards the center of the map such that Faramor's ultimate can hit as many targets as possible. So this team obviously is weak if the opponent hits really hard or needs control to hold them in place. So this team is only on the 5th slot because it's only good in situations where Faramor is able to output damage safely. So the second team is the Chimera Graveborn based team. So as the name suggests, you are putting Chimera as well as a few other Graveborns and relying on Chimera's damage output to actually carry you in the fight itself. So this team is purely with a tank with a support together with 3 Graveborn to proc the Graveborn factional talent. So this team is pretty similar in terms of how you want to run, like the Faramor team, where you get your Chimera online and then she's able to carry you with a whole bunch of damage. However, for this team, similar to the same Faramor team, if your Chimera gets snapped off, if you don't have the control needed, then this team is not going to function as well. In fact, the top team actually has this Chimera combo inside the team as well, which we'll talk about later. But the Chimera as a whole is so strong that you literally can just use her to carry you. So the partners itself need not be Bonnie, need not be a Diamond. It could be like a Nero plus Ludovic, for example. As long as you are able to keep her alive and get her ultimate off, she should be able to carry you in most cases. So that's for the 4th team, the Chimera Graveborn centric team. Okay, now we are on the 3rd position. So 3rd position is none other than your Mauler team. So Odie still really solid with the insta kill, good against units like Brutus, good against units like Igor, or basically any units with inbound or like just unkillable status where his poison can actually insta kill them. So that's one. You also have Smokey to actually do additional heals, additional buffs, and more importantly, once he charges up to the 3rd ultimate, is able to do a lot of damage. So right now, the only reason why this smaller team is a lot lower compared to what it used to be is because Chimera team in general, if Chimera is able to come online, is just a lot faster. And because this team, similar to the 2 previous team, doesn't have too much of a control, it will also struggle against enemy with a whole bunch of control that could stop your Odie from outputting damage or stop your Smokey from channeling the aroma in general. So for this team itself, for the core units, it would be Odie and Smokey and Coco. So this will be the Mauler core as usual. And then for the frontliners, you can use the likes of Callan, the likes of Resto, the likes of Brutus with additional supports from Twins or additional healing from Hewin or even Rowan or even Damien, depending on which unit you have invested. So this is still a really solid team. If your Odie can output damage safely and your aroma from your Smokey is still maximized in terms of efficiency, this team is still a really good team. But for this team itself, I think it's more normal AFK stage side compared to the Talent Trial, because the Mauler Talent Trial is not that spectacular in terms of the AFK stage side. It's more of a 1v1 PvP kind of factional talent. So that's for the Mauler team. So that's why it's in the 3rd position, because the Legend Shroud side, not the most efficient. You can use it, but not as common as the top 2 teams you will see later. And for the normal AFK stage side, you can use it in most cases. But if the enemy hits too hard, if you need control against the enemy, then this team might not be the best for those kind of scenarios. So this is the 3rd team, Mauler trio team. So let's go. So for this team in general, I think as long as the opponent can be controlled, it is a team that you can use to clear through the stage, because this team is able to just hold the enemy in place, which will keep all your units safe, and then from there bring your opponent down, right? By just controlling and dealing damage to them in the meantime. So the only reason why it's not higher other than the Wildest Factional Talent issue is also because the damage output of this team is heavily reliant on the substitute tech that you can use. So the first team obviously has a Chimera, and it also includes all the units right here, but the first team's damage output in general is a lot more consistent, and basically because Chimera is so powerful, most teams that build around her naturally becomes really strong, and this is where when you put her together with some of the strongest control pairing, you get the #1 team, which is the Chimera with control in general. So we'll talk about it later, but that's how this control team function, just rooting your enemies in place and then Tasi going in for the damage for you to clear through the AFK stages. So this is the damage distribution. Okay, we're relying a lot on Tasi as well as Bonnie for the damage. So that's it for this team. Let us move on to the most commonly seen team this season, which includes Chimera. Okay, last but not least, the top 1 team would be obviously your Chimera with Iron Armor's control. So the core of this team is pretty standard. You have a Chimera, you have your Iron Armors, and usually if you're doing this team setup on the factional talent side, you want to include the likes of Bonnie, you want to include the likes of Diamond for the additional shielding, the additional control, the additional buff onto your Chimera. And this way, if you have your factional talent at level 20, you'll get 2 units which are able to get this additional barrier as well as this really good ability to debuff the opponent while dealing damage altogether. So this is built with sustain, built with damage, built with control, and everything put together with your elbow spell to amplify the damage of range damage. Yeah, this team is very solid in terms of the control to the damage ratio to easily clear through most of the AFK stages. So in fact, if you don't have the previous 4 team, no problem, because this team right here should be able to clear through most team combinations. Okay, so another thing that's really good about this team right here is once Chimera gets off the ultimate, the synergy between Chimera as well as the Elderbow spell is just so good that in most cases, as long as your Chimera stays around, she'll be able to finish the opponent off, as you guys can see right here. So the idea is pretty similar to the 4th position Graveborn team, where you rely on Chimera to carry. But for this team, I'll say Iron Armors is core because that additional layer of control just buys you sufficient time in most cases for your ultimate to come online, and then for that range damage with Elderbow to start pushing the opponent back, and then give you the additional control, the additional damage amplification to finish the stage in most cases. So this team is incidentally also one of the most auto-friendly team in most cases. So you can take a look at all the different records right here. I think for this team right here, right, most people that has a level 20 factional talent is using this one, because this way you'll be able to protect both your carries, and then your both carries will also hit really hard in the process of being protected by the barrier. So this is a massive upgrade. I think this one is really strong on both ends, both on the normal AFK stage side as well as the season talent trial, because of how powerful the Graveborn factional talent is for pushing as well as protecting the core units, which is Chimera as well as Bonnie right here. So that's for this top 1 team, and here's the quick 5 teams that you can use to push through this phase 2 for season 4. Just a quick refresher, and that's it for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.